there, and welcome to today's episode of Hot Money Talks. My name is Christine, the Money Mechanic, and you know I help you fix your finances. On today's episode, we will be discussing about Ponzi schemes and the red flags surrounding Ponzi schemes. So what is a Ponzi scheme? Why do people fall for Ponzi schemes? And most importantly, what are the red flags to look out for when a so-called investment disguised as a Ponzi scheme or a so-called Ponzi scheme disguised as an investment is brought to you to put your money in. All right, let's begin with the definition of what a Ponzi scheme is. Now, I'd like to read a very accurate definition that I found on what a Ponzi scheme is. Ponzi schemes are usually disguised as legitimate investment opportunities, enticing you with unusually above market returns on short-term investments. The Ponzi scheme, also known as a pyramid scheme, was named after Charles Ponzi, who was an Italian swindler who fathered one of the most well-known cons in the 1920s. Now, a Ponzi scheme is a rob Peter to pay Paul investment program that sustains itself by using the money from new investors to pay off older ones. Now, let's talk about a Ponzi scheme. I'd like to give a very, very practical example. So like we said in the definition, a Ponzi scheme is also known as a pyramid scheme. And we all know what a pyramid looks like, right? Looks like a triangle. Now, usually a pyramid scheme starts at the top with one person who is told about the so-called investment, and his appetite is, whet, and he becomes very interested. And then the people handling the Ponzi scheme will convince this gullible person to bring a number of people. Usually it is bring 2 people. So imagine Christine at the top of the pyramid, right? And then I bring 2 people forming the left-hand side or the right-hand side. And then another person is told about this, and they also bring another 2 people. And then those 2 people bring more people and all of that. And then the pyramid keeps forming and keeps forming and keeps forming. Now, remember that in the definition, we said that a Ponzi scheme is a rob Peter to pay Paul, thing, right? Now, what this means is that when Christine brings 2 people, what is going to happen is that the money that those 2 people use to register under Christine will be used to pay Christine. And those 2 people, having seen that Christine has earned money from this Ponzi scheme, will excitedly go and bring more people, right? And they will use those people's money to pay them, and on and on and on. Now, this happens on 2 sides, right? And so the pyramid is forming. However, at a point at the bottom of the pyramid, it now becomes a large crowd of people. And then it is not now feasible enough to pay the people that are on the higher level, right, with the money that is coming in from the people at the lower level. And then you know that at some point, a couple of people are just going to cash out and leave the scheme. They won't advertise or bring more people. So who is supposed to pay those other people that other people are bringing? Do you see how messy it becomes? Anyways, this continues for a bit, but then the pyramid cannot hold itself any longer and the pyramid crashes. That is exactly what happens in a Ponzi scheme. Now, according to research, and I'd like to read this again. According to a research done by Michael Oladele that was cited in the Guardian newspaper in December 2022, it says, and I quote, "Statistics show that Nigerians have lost at least 911.45 billion naira to various Ponzi schemes and other scams in the last 23 years. Now, if you've read my book, How Not to Get Scammed, my free ebook out there on the internet, you will see that I quote these statistics at the beginning of that book. And when I found these statistics, right, I was amazed at the amount of money that people have lost to Ponzi schemes. Does that tell you something? All right. Let's move on to now talk about the reasons why people fall for Ponzi schemes. The first reason is fear. The fear of missing out. So your family, your friends, your acquaintances, your co-workers are all investing in a particular investment. And you don't want to miss out. This person has said, I cashed out. They paid me 5 times my money. In 24 hours, I got my money out. I got interest, mad ass interest. And you begin to feel like, oh my God, if I do not invest in this, I will miss out. So the first reason why people fall for Ponzi schemes is fear. Now, the second reason why people fall for Ponzi schemes is greed. So you want to have it all. You just want more money and more money and more money. There's no self-control. You don't care about the consequences. You don't care what has to be done. Greed. Greed is a very, very great reason why people fall for Ponzi schemes. The third reason why people fall for Ponzi schemes is unhealthy competition. So you want to keep up with the Kardashians, as people often say. You want to compete with your neighbor. Your neighbor has just bought a Range Rover and you want to buy one too. Your neighbor has the latest iPhone and you have a pretty good iPhone that still works, but no, you also want to compete with your neighbor. And that pushes you to fall for Ponzi schemes because, of course, a Ponzi scheme gives you crazy benefits. In quotes. Another reason why people fall for Ponzi schemes is a lack of contentment. So you're not content with what you have, and this links back to my last point of competing with others. So you're not content with where you are. You want more than you can reasonably afford, and that leads you into falling for Ponzi schemes. And another reason people fall for Ponzi schemes is laziness. You don't want to work. And because you don't want to work, you're looking for easy money. And so when a Ponzi scheme is brought to you disguised as an investment, you fall for it because, of course, you're lazy and you won't even take the time to even research to see if it is legit or not. Impatience. Impatience is another very serious reason why people fall for Ponzi schemes. So people are impatient. They want quick money. And because of that, when a Ponzi scheme is brought to them, they fall for it. Finally, lack of knowledge. Illiteracy really is one strong reason why people fall for Ponzi schemes. So people have no knowledge on what a Ponzi scheme is. They don't know what to look out for when an investment is brought to them. They lack financial literacy, and so they fall for Ponzi schemes. So here are some red flags to look out for when an investment is brought to you but is actually a Ponzi scheme. Now, the very first red flag is that a Ponzi scheme has no product or service attached to it. Now, when a so-called investment is brought to you, yet there is no product or service attached to it, like you cannot clearly say, okay, so my money is being used to do this and this and this and this, or this is the product, my money is being used to invest in or to sell. There is no clear product or service attached. That is a Ponzi scheme. Now, the second red flag that will tell you if a so-called investment is actually a Ponzi scheme is there is no effort or work attached to it. It is, in other words, free money. And we all know that even in Freetown, there is no free money. So when a so-called investment is brought to you and there is no element of work or effort attached to that investment, and you don't necessarily have to be the one doing the work, right? It could be that you're putting your money in the investment, but then there is some work or effort being put in to generate more income. When this is missing, it is surely a Ponzi scheme. Third red flag to look out for is when the so-called investment is too good to be true. That is a red flag. So someone comes into your DM and tells you that if you give me 50,000 naira as your capital, to come into this investment, I will give you 5 times return on interest. In other words, I will give you 250,000 naira. And yes, there are people who come and promise such outrageous amounts, right? When it is too good to be true, the results, the perks, the benefits of an investment are too good to be true, then you need to really be cautious because it could just be a Ponzi scheme. If you've come this far, it means you're getting value from today's video. So show me some love by liking this video, clicking on the subscribe button, and sharing this video with someone you love. Now back to today's video. Another red flag to look out for is when the so-called investment is said to be risk-free. I will tell you here and now for free that there is no investment on the face of this earth that is risk-free. If you're a business owner, you can agree with me. No matter the business you're doing, even if it is sweets and biscuits you are selling, there is a risk attached to every investment. And the earlier we know that, the better. There is no investment that is risk-free. And so when an investment is brought to you and you are told that it is risk-free, please carry your slippers and run as fast as you can away from that investment. Another red flag that will show you that something is a Ponzi scheme is when you are told that from that investment, you're just going to exert low risk, but you're going to get high returns. That does not work. It is low risk, low returns, and high risk, high returns. You cannot exert a low level of risk and yet expect high returns. That is unreasonable in the world of investing. Now, this particular red flag is one that I know a lot of us despise. Bring two people, bring another two people, who will bring another two people. Once you hear bring two people, pause. Why is this so? Because one of the characteristics of a Ponzi scheme is usually the pressure to bring in new investors, right? And I mean, why should I be pressurized to bring in new investors if I don't want to, right? I should have the leverage or the freedom to say, oh, I really just want to invest in this and just, move on with my life, right? I don't really want to be pressured to bring people. But you see, when it is a Ponzi scheme, there is this unhealthy pressure to bring in new investors. Now, remember the illustration I gave at the beginning of a pyramid scheme, right? The pyramid stands on those people that you are bringing. So, of course, because it is a rob Peter to pay Paul scenario, they need you to bring more people so that they will take those people's money and pay you. That is the whole idea. Don't allow anybody pressure you. If you are under pressure to bring people to an investment, then take caution. It just might be a Ponzi scheme. Another red flag to look out for is that Ponzi schemes are usually unrecognized by the government, unregistered, and unregulated. What this means is that if anything should happen, as Nigerians would say, if Yawa should gas, you are literally on your own. And many times, if you've been scammed before, you will see that when the pyramid eventually crashes, these guys are nowhere to be found. You can't hold them accountable. Why? They were unregulated, they were unregistered, the government did not recognize them. That is why it is important that before you make an investment decision, do your research. Who are these guys? Who is this company? How long have they been around for? Are they recognized, for example, in Nigeria by the Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC? Right? Does the government know them? What insurance company is backing them? Who are they? Where is their office? Very, very important that you research and ensure that whatever investment you are putting your money in actually is legally recognized. Finally, a very important red flag that shows that an investment is a Ponzi scheme is when there are no faces behind the brand. Now, you will notice that, especially in Nigeria, when a pyramid scheme crashes, the only people that are known are the so-called leaders, who obviously are Nigerians themselves, who fell victim at the beginning, right? And they don't even know the real people behind the Ponzi scheme. So they are left to deal with annoyed, frustrated investors, and they can't do anything about it. A Ponzi scheme often at times will not show you the real faces behind the brand. You will just be told things like, oh, they are a foreign company from so country, they are foreign investors. You will never see the real faces behind the brand. When the faces behind the brand are unknown, that is a very, very shiny, bright red flag to look out for. Have you ever been scammed before? Well, I'm sorry if you have been scammed before. But the idea of this video today is to be able to set you on a better path to investing. Ponzi schemes have abounded before, and they will continue to abound because people are greedy and because people will always want to rip other people off of their hard-earned money. I do not want you to be that person. Now, if you watch this video to this point, you would notice that I kept referring to these Ponzi schemes as investments with air quotes. And that's because I want you to know that an investment is not a Ponzi scheme, and a Ponzi scheme is not an investment. I hope that this video is helpful to you. And don't forget that a Ponzi scheme can never be an investment, and an investment can never be a Ponzi scheme. I'm rooting for you to win with your finances, and I'm sending you lots of love, light, and a sprinkle of money in between. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to see more helpful content on how to win with your finances, then like this video, subscribe to my channel, and share this video with someone you love. Peace out.